Now, to be fair, I really enjoyed Hazard Zone and Portal on Battlefield 2042 in the regular multiplayer. Can't stand it. I don't like it. And I find that interesting because the regular base multiplayer is what Battlefield is known for. Elric, Yeet, that are in the chat right now, and ladies and gentlemen, I thought it would be kind of a fun idea to take a look at some of the polls that I have put out there for everybody to kind of check out. Some of these polls are things that were just kind of random questions, and some of them we made specifically to trigger people. There's only a couple of them in there though. And we had some good conversation in some of these as well. But if you're just checking this video out because you have been interacting with the polls, leave a comment. I'd love to hear about your thoughts on some of these. But I figured we would go over some of the results of these because I've been running these polls for quite some time and we haven't really, you know, looked into them too much. And I don't know if everybody in the community knows that these are going on. So they're just kind of intriguing, thought-provoking things that I thought, you know, let's take a look at it. So the first question that I had posed was, do you believe indie games will push AAA developers into innovating, or are most AAA devs stuck in the system they are in? The main reason that this one kind of came up was I was thinking to myself, okay, people are upset with how AAA development has been going. Is there going to be some type of innovation needed because indie developers are going to start creating games that more people are going to flock to, was kind of my thought. And I was kind of curious. It looks like 22% only say they will innovate and 78% are saying that that we're stuck. And so some of the interesting comments that we had from this was they won't stop what they're doing if it's making money, don't fix what's broke, and the only innovation is graphics. Practically everything else is going backwards, and the graphics aren't getting too much better. I think it kind of depends. You know, I think VR, we're going to see a big spike in graphical changes and maybe some type of stuff like that, but you know, I'm kind of curious. So I haven't voted on most of the recent one, but as long as people are giving AAA games money, they'll never change. Most definitely. Yeah, I think that's a very fair assessment. This one, are there games that you regret playing? You know, things that were disturbing, scary, horrible, insanely hard, or frustrating. I'd love to hear these thoughts. We had 22 comments on this video. 60% said yes. Can you believe that? 60%. Some of the things that people were saying, I said Jump King. All right. Dark Souls would be a good one too, Elric. But Alien Isolation, yeah, that game was pretty good. Resident Evil Nemesis when Cody was 5. The Escapist 2, never played that one. I kind of liked what Goof had to say, though. He said, I can't say I particularly regret playing the games because I got to know what was and wasn't for me. It's a very good point. For me, I was more so thinking, like, was there something that horrified me so bad that I would never want to play it again? And a couple people said Manhunt, which I thought was kind of interesting. Next thing I wanted to take a look at was, hey, are people pre-ordering games or are people not pre-ordering games? 13% said they were still pre-ordering games. 87%. This is out of 268 people. That is fascinating. 10 years ago, I was pre-ordering games like left and right. And within the community, a lot of people were kind of saying the same thing. Goof, welcome. They were saying, you know, it's not worth me pre-ordering a game when the finished product isn't there. So I keep hearing people say games don't hit different. They're not the same. What changed? And I personally, I don't relate because there's a lot of stuff that is very exciting about gaming, in my opinion. While I say the big picture is what I mean that I don't understand. I understand there are some onesie-twosie circumstances where you feel like, man, that game sucked. I had my hopes up, crashed, didn't work out, right? Definitely is a thing. I get that. But one of the things that I had kind of put out there for the community to vote on, out of 303 people, 4% are saying hackers are ruining every experiences. Unfinished games coming out with 30%. You know, franchises without many changes from previous editions, and 60% all of the above, which totally understandable. Other, drop a comment. Decline in split screen games is what does it for me. That's an interesting idea. You know, couch co-op. What happened to couch co-op? You know, it's too bad. Gaming doesn't feel the same. Too many games are focused on multiplayer. Now, I disagreed with a lot of people saying this. There were a couple people that were saying stuff like that. There are still some great campaigns out there. While some of them might not be the longest, like for Call of Duty, they still have enjoyable campaigns, in my opinion. They aren't very long. And Sony, look at what Sony's doing with Uncharted, The Last of Us, Days Gone. Let's see what else. Ghost of Tsushima, God of War. They're all doing very good Spider-Man that are all single player experiences, which are phenomenal games. So I don't know. Multiplayer is a big thing. It's a big way to make a lot of money. It's a good way for replayability to keep people on your game. But man, while God of War isn't a game that I went back and played 2 times, it was one of the best games I've played by far. Ghost of Tsushima, same thing. I would go back and play it. Not right now, maybe in a year or so. But dude, phenomenal game. And I had so much fun streaming that game and playing that. They have a great track record, Elric, exactly. Cody was kind of getting at not innovative and not much is new. And a lot of people are kind of getting back to this nostalgic feel of going to what we all kind of talk about, remasters, which, hey, we've kind of talked about that quite a bit. So true or false? I see myself leaving or I have left multiplayer games due to cheaters and hackers. 285 people voted on this. 65% said true. 35% said false. Now, what I meant by this was leaving multiplayer games as a whole, not just like, I'm going to leave this game because there's a hacker in it. No, I mean, I'm done with multiplayer games. I'm over it. I'm just sticking to single player games. There's no way I could ever leave multiplayer altogether. There's no way. It would be way too difficult, in my opinion. It would be. But these are conversations that I think need to be had in the gaming community, are things that are getting in the way of people enjoying experiences. You know, gaming is made for entertainment. And if we are having something that is keeping us from being able to enjoy our time off, or enjoying, for some people, their jobs, or enjoying things to help them relax, dude, it's not a good experience. So I know a lot of people personally who are like, I'm done with multiplayer and I'm only playing single player games because I just can't keep up with where multiplayer games are going. But part of that can be the pick of the games they're playing. You know, if people are trying to play Call of Duty all the time, you're going to be facing up against a lot of people. And that's just kind of the sad reality that we're in, you know? So this question I thought was fascinating. I really wanted to hear people's thoughts on this. What are your thoughts on the end of physical copy production of games with the next console, like the PS6, the new Xbox Series X plus 1000, whatever? True, 67% out of 228 people versus 33% said false. Very interesting, because we're already seeing a split console with the PS5, right? And the Xbox Series X. So I'm wondering, you know, PC hasn't had physical copies for a long time, or hasn't been pushing physical copies very much. You'll see occasionally physical copies of PC games still in store, but obviously Steam, Epic Games, Ubisoft, Origin, all of these are huge. Uplay, whatever, they're all really big for getting those titles out digitally. Yet we're still paying the same amount for a game that they were arguing they were paying for the extra production cost. Interesting stuff. Now, here's the thing. I love having physical copies, man. I love just having the game in my hands. I don't know what it is. I love getting the physical things that you would get for pre-ordering, like posters, you know, some little bonus keychains, a little statue, a t-shirt, something like that. I still have a lot of that stuff from when I was a kid. And I just wish that they still did, you know, some things like that, but it's just not where the market is anymore. So everything was physical. It could be nostalgic. Yeah, that's very true. I mean, even if they did, like, hey, come and get if you pre-order through GameStop and get a poster with us, free poster, we'll give you the digital code to the game. Like, I might do that. If it was online and you just had to go in store and pick it up, I would do that too. Okay, are we stuck with AAA developers releasing unfinished products for good? Or do you believe that there are some developers that will wait until things are finished for release? We're stuck here, 72% out of 263 people. Things will get better, 28%. Now, this was kind of coming in and thinking about what Battlefield was. This is when Battlefield 2042 had just kind of released, and I was a little disappointed in the release. It's still a good game, but it's not, you know, my favorite Battlefield, and it's a little rough. So, with that in mind, I wanted to see what the community was thinking. I wanted to see what people were talking about, and it's interesting that 72% are saying that we're stuck here. Someone said, as long as they keep making profit, why would they change? Very similar to what we were talking about in a previous post as well, with the indie developers, you know, pre-ordering based off of hype. And now here's the thing. Look what Halo did. Halo just came out of nowhere and was like, boom, we're dropping the game. Not even going to announce it. And the game was a smash hit. Now, to be fair, it was a free-to-play multiplayer version of it. But it's still something to think about. When you hear about a game being remastered that you're interested in, what is the first thought that comes to mind? And so 100% buying it, only 13% people said that. 17%, this is a cash grab, not buying it. 65%, somewhat excited, but I'll wait for reviews. 5%, I'll just play the original. Now, I find this interesting because this argument kind of came up in our chat a couple times where people were saying, yo, why not just play the original game if you got it? But dude, it's the controls, it's the graphics, it's the fact that you can play it on a modern system with a, you know, a solid state where it can load the game up instantly and enjoy it in a different manner. This was kind of coming up with GTA Trilogy coming out, and a lot of people were very frustrated with how that released, which rightfully so, I get it. But you know, it makes sense. A lot of people are still, they get excited for it, but they want to wait for reviews. But reviews are interesting too, because can you trust a review? I don't know. There's a lot of reviews I've read on games where I totally disagreed with it and I really enjoyed the game, but the critics were saying they hated it. So I always try to take that stuff with a grain of salt, you know? Old controls can be very jank. Definitely can. Yeah. Save space in the old consoles, pre-360. True. So true. Now, this one, would you rather a game be delayed and have a 100% finished product when a company feels the game is ready, or have the game released unfinished for the opportunity to play it sooner? This is what I want to say. This is an easy click yes, in my opinion, for people. Here's the funny part. With 96% saying that, yes, they want to wait. I highly doubt that every single person in that 96% actually believes that. Because the amount of people that complain about Forge, multiplayer or campaign co-op being delayed just for Halo is unreal. People are saying this is ridiculous, outrageous, blah, blah, blah. But look at how good Halo's launch has been, because they've been focusing on the right things. Halo has been saying, I'm going to take the campaign and I'm going to focus on campaign. I'm going to take the multiplayer. I'm going to focus on the multiplayer. Then we're going to slowly piece it together. They're working at the pieces to the puzzle moving forward. That's what Battlefield should have done. Battlefield 2042, in my opinion, should have been, hey, bada bing, bada boom. We've got, guess what? 3 game modes. We're going to release a roadmap. You're going to have Hazard Zone out after we complete multiplayer. And then Portal is, here's the base parts for Portal. Or we'll release multiplayer, make sure multiplayer is solid, and then we will release Hazard Zone and then Portal, or whatever way you want to do it. Just focus on one game mode, make it solid. That way you're not releasing 3 half-assed parts to the game. Now, to be fair, I really enjoyed Hazard Zone and Portal on Battlefield 2042 in the regular multiplayer. Can't stand it. I don't like it. And I find that interesting because the regular base multiplayer is what Battlefield is known for. Do you see VR gaming as the future of gaming? Yes, 43%. No, 57%. Now, here's the thing. I think VR will be the future of gaming. I think what people are thinking of right now is the capability of VR currently and not what VR's capability could be, which makes sense. We can't see the future. But if we think about what things will be, I think it's totally going to be. You look at what Facebook is doing with Meta, where they're trying to force and push VR. It's going to force VR to get better. So VR is going to get better. Exactly what Elric said. It's in the infant phase. For sure is in the infant phase. It's going to get better. Things will get better and things will continuously go and move forward. And I totally agree with that. You have the treadmills, you have the body suits, the haptic feedback gloves, the gloves that Meta are working on. If you haven't seen this, you need to look this up. They have gloves that can actually feel in the VR realm. Absolutely bananas. So I definitely am excited to see what we're going to have for VR in the future. But VR right now, absolutely love it. Don't see it as a future, but I see it as being a competitive seller with other things, but I don't know about the full immersion. I think they will get to a point where it will be very, very realistic. Like I'm talking a 4K monitor inside there, because you look at how big TVs have gotten and how fine the pixels are getting and how it's slowly just getting better and better and better. Like we're 8K is already on the horizon. So I think that they're just going to be able to do that in a small scale for a VR screen and really make it a full immersion. But regardless, ladies and gentlemen, you know, I'd like to hear your thoughts on this. If you voted on these polls, please drop a comment on some of the things that we've kind of talked about and let me know what your thoughts are on this, because I would love to get an idea of what you were thinking when you voted these and just pick your brain on it. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Appreciate it. We'll see you later, YouTube, Twitch. Let's keep it rolling. I got the shivers whenever